Back with closing trades right here on ET now. The closing trades have been rather impressive. Not just 13,000, we managed to close at the session highs well above the 13,050 level as well. Powered by autos, banks, they were the ones which really charged up ahead. But noted business journalist Tamal Bandopadhyay has authored a book on his understanding of the troubles within the banking system and what could be done to really fix the pile of bad loans. Earlier, my colleague Ajay Sharma caught up with him to understand the motivation behind this intensive work and what all he managed to explore.
Hello and welcome. We are having this very special chat with Tamal Bandopadhyay, a gentleman whose understanding of the Indian banking system is one of the best. He's authored, this is the 6th book which we are talking to him about, The Pandemonium, and a person who everybody goes to, be it the institutional investors, be it other strategists, when they have to understand how the Indian banking system functions and what are the issues which are playing on the Indian banking system. Mr. Bandopadhyay, thank you so much for your time. Great to be chatting with you on this latest book of yours, The Pandemonium. Let's start by understanding the objective and what triggered you to write this book. It's a tell-all book without really giving out a whole lot. The book is just out. I'll ask my viewers to get a copy. Just to get a hint of what this book is about, what triggered. You've gone very deep into how the mess runs in Indian banking system, etc. Give us some amount of indications on that.
Yeah, thank you. The provocation was actually, it happened in last year, 2019. It was 15th October 2019. Our finance minister was giving a talk at Columbia University. And that has been tradition for quite some time, I think from 2017 onwards. Former finance minister also had spoken there twice. And this time her speech was on our dream of attaining 5 trillion economy. It was a prepared speech. And then after that, there was a sort of interaction with the audience, moderated by Arvind Panagaria. And I think the third question was raised by a gentleman who referred to a speech given by former Reserve Bank of India Governor Dr. Raghuram Rajan at Brown University. Referring to the speech, he asked our finance minister that Dr. Rajan has said that we have a too centralized government at this point of time in India, Modi 2.1 he referred to, and said, do you think this is coming on the way of achieving persistent economic growth? And this is what Dr. Rajan has hinted at. Our finance minister took her own time. And then she responded. She said she has great respect for Dr. Rajan, but she feels that, or she thinks that it is during the duo, Dr. Rajan as RBI governor and Dr. Manmohan Singh as country's prime minister. During that time, Indian public sector banking had its worst time. So one person who attended the show there at that event, in a real time, he called and asked me, Tamal, you have been in this sector as an observer, commentator, reporter. What do you think? I mean, do you agree with this? And that had set the ball rolling. That's how I started. And in some sense, this book I have been writing for the last 20 years or 20 years plus, because I started bank reporting in 1995 after the first set of new private banks, just they came in the picture. And last 25 years, first as a reporter, then as an editor, and now as a commentator and columnist, I have been seeing how the banking sector unfolded. So immediately I reached out to all the past governors. I thought this is the way to start. Let me start talking to them. Is it like the 1990s when Dr. Rangarajan was the governor early part of until mid 90s, 96, 97 partly, when we abolished the development financial institution and embraced universal banking. But our banks, were pretty happy about working capital loan giving, but they were not, and even now they are not good at project appraisal and giving project loans. So is Rangarajan responsible for this? because we have not substituted the DFIs and banks don't know how to do it? Or is Dr. Reddy responsible because during his regime between 2006 and 8, that was the golden era of Indian economy, 9% plus growth and 30-odd% credit growth. Was this irrational exuberance that led to problems? Or is it Dr. Subbarao, his ultra-loose monetary policy post-Lehman crisis? Or Dr. Rajan, was he or has he been extremely aggressive? Like as somebody said that, you are driving a car on first gear on a highway and then suddenly you shift to fifth gear. Did he do this through his AQR, Asset Quality Review for Indian banks in 2015? And that's how we made a mess. So the book is an exploration of what has gone wrong and of course what has gone right also. So in that sense, it's beyond banking. It's an India story since liberalization.
Right. Sir, we understand that this book is structured in 5 parts. You got a bit of history in it. You got into the deep issues the sector is plagued with, and then possible solutions. Talk to us. Give us a hint of what all. I really loved that point. You said that for 20 years you saw this book almost take shape in your mind. It's just that you put it together now. So talk to us about what readers can look forward to in this research piece.
Well, one correction, this has 6 parts. And the 6th part is unique. It is a collection of 16 charts, and I'm telling you, not as a rhetoric, but plain fact, if you don't have the time to read this book, which is close to 150,000 words, I think about 520 or 40 odd pages, you just go through the charts. The chart tells a much better story than the book itself. There's a unique chart going beyond, this NPA and how we are covered. I mean, how we compare with the global G20 nations and what else. But there are certain charts we will find that very, very useful, particularly the investors. Like how we are seeing privatization, backdoor privatization or privatization by stealth. How on an incremental basis, public sector banks are losing market share left, right, and center, not only for their loan assets, but also for their deposits. So they are proxy sovereign, but people are not keeping money with public sector banks too much, which they used to do. Private banks have lapping up the share. You will see the time the majority owner, the government takes to appoint a CEO, the gap. It close to even some 300 days for one particular bank. For Bank of Baroda, which is the first experiment of consolidation, and the gap is 100 days between the old CEO stepping down and the new CEO coming in. You will see a chart where how the banks were camouflaging NPAs under the stress assets category. So yes, this book has 6 things. Six sections, not 5, and the 6th section is actually closest to my heart. A lot of work has gone into those things. What people will look for, the readers will look for, as I said, it's not meant for only bankers and people with financial sector. It's meant for students, meant for policymakers, meant for bureaucrats, and that's what those who have read the book, they were telling, they're recommending that. I have not given any answer because I do not have the answer. Neither have I given, sort of very academic discussion, because there are 3 ways of doing this kind of book. One is this, you do a sort of academic discussion with lots of, data, but I'm not capable of doing that because I'm semi-literate in this area. I'm an English literature student, not a finance student. Second way up, I sit in my armchair and tell you this should have not been done, this should be done this way. But am I capable of doing that? No, I don't have. So what I tried to do, is probably the easiest way, is telling a story. You will see the story of what has gone wrong, who killed Indian banking. You will see the story of what has gone wrong with Yes Bank and how did it come back to its second life. You will see the story of how Chanda Kochar had the board eating out of her hand. You will see the story of how the investigative agencies, the overzealous investigative agencies, how they swoop on the retired bankers and throw them into Arthur Road Jail in Mumbai. In particular case, like I'm talking about a Bank of Maharashtra CEO, Mr. Marathe. Now, he had a meeting the previous night in Delhi with then minister holding the charge of finance. He came back night, early morning he goes for his yoga class on his bicycle. On that day, the yoga class, there was no yoga exercise. It only he had to listen to a bhajana, which says that you be mentally strong, and there will be obstacles on your way, but you must be strong enough to overcome all this. From there, he goes to vegetable markets. He picks up some vegetables and he goes home. And oh lo, there are the police people waiting for him. And he was picked up and was taken to the police thana. He had to spend the night there at the thana with a hardcore criminal arrested allegedly for killing a builder. So that's how the bankers, our investigative agencies behave with bankers, retired bankers, because easily they are the soft targets. Is it a commercial decision going wrong, or there is a genuine malafide behind that? And none of the cases actually the malafide has been proved. That is the cases where I dealt with. So you will get all those stories and beyond, how IBC has been doing, the NBFC crisis, how it's an offshoot from banking crisis spilled over to NBFC, and how we handled ILFS and DHFL could have been done in a different way. You will see the story of consolidation, the inside story, how the bankers were called, and in most of the cases, they don't even know what is going to happen. And there are many bankers who are called in Delhi, and then just to keep a smoke screen, because they are all listed entities. You can't tell the world in advance that so and so is getting much. So to create a smoke screen, a lot of bankers are called, but few of them are told that you are being merged with so and so, and somebody is saying that you are taking over so and so. So there are all untold stories. I have not got into those, the numbers and X's, that kind of the charts and the NPAs, those kind of things I have not done. I have tried to weave a story, actually what has gone wrong, why the banks had got so much of NPAs, what is the reason behind it, and what is the way forward. And in between comes all this, the investigative agencies work, or how the IBC has been working, the fraud, the misgovernance in some of the private sectors, what else the public sector banking, why the government keeps on putting in the money, and how much this money been actually invested in private banks, how much they would have got. So what is the notional loss? So it's a larger India story post-liberalization. Banking, because and seeing through the banking system, as you know that our financial system is led by the banking system, unlike most of the developed markets, is predominantly bank-led system. So the only way to take a look at Indian economy is through the banks. So the last line is, it's a combination of a bird's eye view and a fly on the wall kind of feeling that you get.
Right. Tamal, no wonder Rajiv Kumar, Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog, has called it a financial sector policy thriller. It is sounding like one, and I'm sure, including me, all our viewers would be looking forward to pick it up and enjoy the details, and of course your rich experience which you've put together in this story of the Indian banking system in your sixth book called The Pandemonium, the Great Indian Banking System. Thank you so much for giving us a sneak peek in that one. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tamal.